Now call me a liar. Now call me a liar.
All right, OK, well, welcome back. So, a Reform UK councillor who was arrested after criticising a Pride festival for being unsuitable for children. In fact, you just saw the moment of arrest there. That was what was on your screens. Has now had charges against her dropped. Amanda Clare's life was turned upside down in June after she was charged with assaulting a security guard and causing criminal damage. Now, she had attended the Pride festival to document trans performers as part of a safeguarding check. But after 6 months of hell, the Reform councillor found out last week, just days before her trial was due to start, that all the charges have been dropped. And we've got some pictures, some still images, etc., that we're going to be playing over the top of this interview. I'm very pleased to be joined by Amanda herself. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me on.
So, explain to me then, why did you decide to go to this Pride event and what did you see?
Well, I'm a local councillor. I've been a councillor since 2019, and I've been campaigning really within the council formally around a lot of areas of policy capture to do with the LGBTQ plus agenda, if you like. So to do with looked after children and our policies there, to do with schools and what guidance we give to schools in that regard, and lots of other areas as well, our safe spaces within leisure centres. So Pride was just one of those areas that I was interested in. I'd seen some images of a drag queen on a stage with a bunch of children around him.
Right.
And he was very scantily clad, and I thought, well, that raised the alarm bells a little bit. I wasn't sure how appropriate that would be.
I think that might be a picture of it now, actually.
That's
one
the
of them.
same drag queen, yes. Yeah, that was from this year. So, so I thought, well, I'll go along, I'll just have a look and I'll just see what's going on for myself. And some of the things that I saw really concerned me. So I got photographs and I got video footage of those things because the stuff that's publicised around Pride events often looks nice and shiny and happy, but you don't always see some of the other stuff that's going on.
Well, yeah. Obviously, we're going to have to be relatively careful about what we say here. And you make a great point that they weren't careful about this around the children. However, you did see some evidence of sex toys.
That's right. So the first Pride event that I went to was in Chester, and that was in 2023. And they had adult sex toys. They had sex toys on sale around children in a child-accessible area, some of which looked like children's toys. So they were like pastel colours, unicorn shapes and things like that. And they also had burlesque striptease in front of children as well at that event, as well as all of the ideological stuff. So the next year at Winsford Pride, they had promotion of double breast amputations to children and things like that. It's really quite severe. And actually, some of the stuff that we've seen at Pride events, the expletives that have been used on some of the merch has been so extreme that we've been told as councillors that we can't mention those words in council meetings because children might be watching the live stream. But on the other hand, it's fine for children to see them somehow at Pride events. And so my involvement hasn't really been to oppose Pride as such. It's just been to go along as a councillor to observe, to gather evidence if there are problems, and to push for policy changes, which I did actually manage to achieve. It took me a year, but I did actually manage to achieve policy change.
What are those policy changes then?
Well, Winsford Pride in particular didn't have a ratified child safeguarding policy that related to events, so there just wasn't one in place, so now there is. There's also an events code of conduct now, which there wasn't before. So the organisers, the Winsford Town Council, actually agreed that they would get the drag acts to sign a waiver. So they wouldn't swear, they wouldn't do anything sort of sexual within the act, so it wouldn't be burlesque style dancing and things like that, that they would give a heads up as to what their costumes were going to look like, because last year one of the drag acts wore skimpy women's knickers with a clown face over the crotch of them and burlesqued around in front of children.
And how old are the kids? Look, when you say children here, because, you know, there'll be some people watching this or listening to this now who might be, say, 16 or 17 years old, and they might already feel very, very comfortable in their sexuality or something like that. Well, I mean, we can see a picture there. That looks like toddlers.
Yeah.
Every time you're online, your money and your identity are at risk. Scams now make up nearly 40% of all crime in the UK. That's thousands of attacks every single day. In Britain, someone has their identity stolen every 2 minutes, leaving victims with wrecked finances and years of stress. The threat is real, and you could be next. ExpressVPN is your shield against criminals. It locks down your devices, hiding your personal information and financial details from hackers, scammers, and anyone else looking to exploit you. So whether you're checking your bank, shopping, or just browsing, ExpressVPN makes you invisible to prying eyes trying to steal your money and your identity. ExpressVPN shields your data with military-grade AES 256 encryption. That's the same standard trusted by the US government to guard classified information. This is the highest level of online security you can get. So don't wait for disaster. Secure up to 14 devices at once and get powerful password protection. Real support is available 24/7 because cybercrime never sleeps. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off ExpressVPN plus 4 months extra for free. Every moment you hesitate is another moment you're exposed. Protect your money and protect your identity. Get ExpressVPN right now.
They're tiny children and as small as babies, all ages of children. So it's kind of... So that was the clown face, Nick, as you can kind of see it through the grass skirt. So
exactly. So sorry. I just wanted to move on a little bit towards. Yeah. So you were arrested. We played a clip of it earlier on. I don't know if I might be able to bring that up in a second again. But you were arrested at this moment. Why were you arrested?
So it was there were allegations of assault and criminal damage against me, but the officer that arrested me didn't see this. He just took somebody's word for it. This was after he'd seen myself and my friends incited against from the stage by the drag queen, by the drag act, who pointed me out and said that I was homophobic. We were then surrounded, 3 of us female, my female friends, by 40 people shouting, waving Progress Pride flags right in our faces, right in front of our cameras, pushed and shoved. My friend's phone was knocked out of her hand. Someone live streamed me and accused me of being there to photograph other people's children.
Which is ironic, actually, given what you were there to do, yes. Yeah.
But this is what they do, so it's smear tactics all the way. So the thing that happened by the side of the stage, because I am discussing with my lawyers what my next steps are, I don't kind of want to go into detail around that, but the opposite of what I was accused of is what actually happened.
I think I get the gist there. Now, this had real-life consequences for you and your job, I believe.
Yes, that's right. So I'm a reform councillor.
Yeah.
So the first thing to say is everybody knows that reform are likely to be the next government, to be in government. And because of that, because we're doing so well in the polls, we are always vulnerable to smear campaigns from within the mainstream media and obviously other political parties. And I didn't know how long this was going to drag on for, and I know the power of smear campaigns, so I didn't want to kind of impose that onto my employer, which was Sarah Pochin at the time, so I willingly resigned my post. But Reform retained the whip and have provided me with a lot of support behind the scenes, and are delighted with the outcome, with the fact that the charges have been dropped. I mean, there was never a case to answer, really.
Yeah, there is a wider point. So I get that obviously you've kind of taken a step back for, well, I could say maybe political reasons, and I understand that. Yeah. But what I think, when we cover topics like we cover regularly on this show, so like we've just done, we're not going to get into this now, but what we've just done, for example, the Afghan small boat rapists, we talk about grooming gangs, we talk regularly about these controversial issues. I feel very privileged because this is my job, and I've been blessed to have a platform where I can talk about this and maybe be a voice for some people out there. But if you are someone who, works in an estate agent's, or works in the NHS, or works in a school, and you have exactly the same views as I do, and there are millions of those people, you can't speak up about that or do what you did, because you would, if you were arrested or something like that, you would lose your job, wouldn't you? Yes,
I think, even as a councillor, it shouldn't be the case that I can't go along to a Pride event to check that it's safe for children. But because my views are known, because I've complained about some of the things that are happening, I actually thought twice about whether to go to this, because I'd been threatened at the event the year before. So it's huge. It's about your safety. Whether as a councillor you can actually carry out your role properly. They're asking you for funding towards these events. You've got a perfect right when they've admitted that they've judged it wrongly previously and they've put new policies in place to go and check what's happening. But I felt at the time that this happened, I didn't know if I would ever work again because the smear headlines and the amount of defamatory false information online is there forever.
And this isn't just lastly, quickly, I'm assuming, I don't know, but I'm assuming this for you is not about, you know, people who are gay or anything like that. It's more about what is being shown to kids.
Yeah, I don't think that the current Pride culture is about sexuality whatsoever, and I don't think the TQ plus is about sexuality whatsoever. I think it's been bolted onto LGB, and there are plenty of people who are lesbian, bisexual or gay that are really, really fed up of this agenda and the amount of damage that it's doing.
Well, there are. I talked to a lot of them, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm not. I don't care about anyone's sexuality. It's not my business, and it's not really even opposition to Pride per se. It's what's happening around children at Pride. Yeah.
All right. Well, look, thank you very, very much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet you, and I'm glad that you have had the charges dropped. So well done. A spokesperson for Cheshire Police said the Crown Prosecution Service has a duty to keep all cases under continuing review, and following a further review, they concluded there was no longer sufficient evidence to provide a realistic prospect of conviction. They have determined that the legal test for prosecution is no longer met and have discontinued the case. Ms Clare has been informed of the decision and the charges against her have been dropped. So